So, welcome back. Something a little bit different today. I'm going to be making some bread, which I do relatively frequently. It's a really simple recipe. If you want to try it at home, you can. But yeah, something a little bit different from some of the other ASMR videos I've done up until this point. But I thought there's probably some good sounds which can be found in the bread making process. So yeah, I will just talk you through what we've got here. So this is strong white flour, which is what you'll need to make bread. It has a higher protein content than normal flour, so that's what you need for bread making. Then we have salt. So that's about 5 to 10 grams of salt, depending on how much you like in your bread. And then approximately 300 mils of water for the amount of flour that we're going to use. And then I have 30 to 40 ml of oil here. You can use oil, olive oil, vegetable oil, whatever your preference is. It's just to enrich the dough. You can use butter as well if you want some kind of brioche type dough. And then just some fast action yeast. You can use sugar as well if you want to speed up the proving process, but this is all you need to actually make bread at home, so feel free just to watch along, and hopefully this can help you relax, as this is first and foremost an ASMR video. So firstly then, I will weigh out the ingredients that we need, then we will mix the dry ingredients together, and then I will knead the dough and just talk you through what we're doing. So first things first, we need 500 grams of the strong white flour. So and there we go. So that's 500. Now I'll keep the bread flour just to one side, so that if I need to use any a little bit later on for kind of the surface tops, then I'll be able to do that. So I'm just going to take that, add that to my mixing bowl. That's the flour. The next thing we're going to add is we're going to add the salt. So really you should add your salt and your yeast to the dry ingredients just a little bit, well, after you've mixed them together. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to use about 8 grams of salt. And that's all we need the measuring cup for. So I'll just put that over. Just put that to one side as well. So yeah. So as I said, you want to add your salt and your yeast separately. I think supposedly you can kill your yeast if you add it at the same time. So I'm just going to, so that's the salt in there, and I'm just going to give that a mix, just to incorporate it into the flour before I add the yeast. this is 11 grams of yeast. I usually use 7, but for some reason these packets are a little bit bigger. I don't know why. But 7 is usually enough for 500 grams of bread flour. So. Apologies, I also do have a bit of a cold, so hopefully that's not too clear in the audio. So just again, give that a mix through so it's incorporated. And then the next thing that we're going to add is going to be the oil and the water. Add the oil first. You tend to get these little lumps that don't then mix properly, so I prefer to add the oil to the water and then add the whole lot in together. And then I'll just give that a little bit of a mix. Now I know the oil tends to stay separate from the water, but this is just an attempt to try and keep it together whilst I add it to the flour. And then we're going to add it to the flour. And you'll probably find that it's quite a wet dough. And then there's only one thing for it, which is to bring it together with your hands. It's quite messy, but I think it's worth it. As I said, it'll probably be quite wet, quite sticky, like when you first bring it together. But you just have to have a bit of faith that it will come together. If you are using the full 300ml, it will seem like quite a sticky dough, but that's a good thing. It makes it a little bit harder to work when you first start kneading, but it does improve once you actually start kneading it. After a while after you start kneading it, so you just have to have a bit of faith. Pretty much once the sides of the bowl have started to clear, you are then ready to actually start kneading. So as the bowl's pretty pretty much clear. We'll put that there, and then here's our dough. As you see, it's quite sticky at the moment, but the more we knead this, the better it'll get. It'll get less sticky, and then we'll be able to let it prove. So the general rule is, if you're a beginner or you haven't made bread before, then knead it for about 10 minutes, which I tend to do just anyway because I don't do it too often, and my kneading probably leaves a lot to be desired. So I will knead this for about 10 minutes, and then we will see where we're at. Basically, it's already quite pliable already, but we want it to be nice and stretchy, which means that we've actually managed to build the gluten in it to a point that when you bake it and it rises, well, that it will rise basically. So we will need very sticky at the moment, but that's what we want. So knead it for about 10 minutes. I might cut some of this out there. I don't think you need to see a full 10 minutes of this, but you see, really sticky at the moment, but it will get better. That's about 10 minutes of kneading now. So the next thing to do is just to put a little bit of oil into this bowl. So there should be a little bit left over here. And that's just to stop the bread from sticking in the bowl, because we'll need to take it out later. But what we have now is a smooth and elastic ball of dough. And we're going to put this in the bowl. We're going to leave that for about 45 minutes to an hour to prove. Let the yeast do its thing. And then we'll come back and then we'll take you through the next step of the ASMR bread making process. So, see you in an hour. Okay, so it's been about 40 minutes, and as we can see, the dough has risen quite a lot. So it started out about half that size, which is good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take all of the air out of the dough and actually knock it. It's called knocking it back, where you just remove all the air from the dough and it gives it a more even kind of crumb structure. And then after we've done that, we will make the bread into whatever shape we want to bake it. So if you want to put it into a loaf tin, or whether you want to make it into bread rolls or whatever you want to do. I'm just going to do a really basic kind of like bloomer loaf, like a long kind of baked in its own shape loaf, because I like it. So I'm just going to take this out. Oops. So this side is quite oily, so it might be a little bit difficult to actually bring together, so I'm just going to flip it over, and it's really kind of airy, so I'm just going to, so this is knocking it back. It's like a big pizza now. Just going to bring it together. Stuff a little bit. And it's really not very important what you do with it now, I guess. All we're doing is taking the air out. So what you want to do now is you want to basically make it into whatever shape you want. So for me, I'm going to be baking this into, as I said, like a bit of a bloomer loaf. So I'm just going to literally just roll it up a little bit, and then just going to stretch it out a little bit. And that's project. The seam, this part will go on the bottom. So I'm just going to get a tray and I'm just going to put that there for a second. I'm just going to put some oil on the tray. That's just to stop it sticking when it actually bakes. And then I need some kitchen paper, which I have. And then it's just a case of and I'm just going to make it a little bit longer because I tend to find that these kind of tend to expand upwards but not lengthways, so I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit. I'm just going to put it down here, and then I'm just going to give that, so I'm just going to give that about another 20 minutes to prove. So again, I'm just going to cover it slightly with the same paper that I used earlier. And we'll come back again in about 25 minutes, 30 minutes to see how that's getting on. It's been about another 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and the bread has had a little bit more time to prove. The next thing to do is basically just give it any kind of designs, patterns, whatever you want. So it's definitely expanded in size. It looks a bit wide, but yeah, we'll see how this goes. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of flour on top, give it a few cuts so that it gets a little bit more in the way of textures, because I like crunchy things on there. So just take a little bit of flour. And just take a knife and basically make whatever patterns you want. So I think deeper cuts tend to work quite well. Okay, and then basically we're just going to put that into a 200 Celsius oven. I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit. So 200 degree oven for about 20 to 30 minutes. Or just keep an eye on it and see basically when you're happy with it. So yeah, I will come back once this is baked. Okay, so finished. We finished the bread. It's finished, and the final product is a loud dog walking away. So we've finished the bread, and the final product is an oversized loaf